7 ways to spot a manipulator. Do you know someone who never keeps their word? Do they tend to get upset when things don't go their way? Do you have a friend who always justifies their own wrongdoings? If so, you might be dealing with a manipulator. Manipulation can take many forms and be difficult to detect. One way to determine if you're being manipulated is to pay attention to your gut feelings. If a situation or conversation makes you feel uneasy or uncomfortable, it may be a sign that you're being manipulated. Another way is to be aware of the tactics often used by manipulators, such as gaslighting, guilt trips, playing on emotions, and using ultimatums. Also, manipulators often try to create a power imbalance in a relationship, so be mindful of any dynamic where one person is consistently calling the shots. If most of these sound familiar, watch until the end to find out. 7 ways to spot a manipulator. 1. Lack of accountability. They are skilled at averting blame and shifting responsibility onto others. They can also be expert at manipulating the perceptions of those around them, making it difficult for others to see their true motives. Manipulators may be able to exploit systems or power imbalances to evade accountability. Also, people may be willing to overlook or excuse the manipulator's behavior because they believe the manipulator is somehow necessary or beneficial to them. This may happen when people who are being manipulated are also getting something they want from the relationship, or when they are under the impression that the manipulator has something they need. Don't forget that manipulators can use their charisma or charm to create a positive image of themselves, which makes it harder for others to see their negative behavior. The manipulation tactics, such as gaslighting and denial, can make the manipulator hard to be accounted for their actions, especially when the manipulated person is not aware that they're being manipulated. It may lead to self-doubt and confusion in the victim. 2. Change the story. They do it to suit their current goals or to shift the blame for a situation. They may also change their story to suit the perspective of the person they are communicating with. Manipulators may change their story to make it more difficult for others to detect that they are lying or being deceitful. It's important to advise that not all people that change their story are manipulators, and that people's behavior and intentions can be complex. Changing a story should not be equated with manipulation without further evidence. Manipulative people are often skilled at deception and may be considered good liars. They use their knowledge of social dynamics and human psychology to manipulate others and achieve their goals, and this can include lying or bending the truth. However, whether a person is a good liar depends on many factors, and not all manipulators are equally skilled at this. 3. They don't keep their word. Manipulators aren't trustworthy or truthful in general. They have their own agenda and use their words to achieve their own goals, regardless of whether it aligns with what they previously promised. They may not value honesty or fairness in the same way that others do, or they may not feel any sense of obligation to uphold their commitments. Additionally, manipulators may change their word to avoid responsibility or blame, or to manipulate the situation in their favor. It's important to note that not all people who don't keep their word are manipulators, and that sometimes people may have valid reasons for not being able to keep their promises. However, if you consistently find yourself in situations where someone is not keeping their promises to you, it might be a sign that they are being manipulative. It's important to set up healthy boundaries and look out for yourself. 4. Don't respect boundaries. They are always focused on achieving their own goals, regardless of how their actions affect others. They may also lack empathy and be unable to understand or even care about how their behavior is harmful. Some manipulators may also use manipulation as a way to control or exploit others, which can lead to boundary-crossing behavior. Additionally, they're okay with crossing the boundaries of others, but if you cross theirs, it will not happen without you knowing how you made them feel. As problematic as it is, they normally don't care, as long as they are on the giving end of the boundary crossing. It's important to establish and communicate your own boundaries, and to learn to recognize when someone is crossing them. If you feel that someone is manipulating or exploiting you, It's important to seek help and support, whether it be from a therapist, a support group, or a loved one. Respecting boundaries is a key aspect of healthy relationships, and manipulators' disregard to this aspect can lead to serious issues like emotional and psychological harm, among others. 5. Get upset when things don't go their way. Manipulative people often have a strong sense of entitlement and believe they're entitled to have things go their way. When things don't go as they wish, they may become upset because they feel that their desires and needs are not being met. Additionally, manipulators may become upset because they are not able to control a situation or outcome in a way that they had intended. Don't forget, they use tactics such as persuasion, manipulation, or deception to control or influence a situation or another person for their own benefit. They may be able to exert control in some situations, but it is not necessarily the case that they are always in control. 6. Justify their wrongdoings. In order to avoid responsibility for their actions, manipulators tend to or deflect blame onto others or will justify their actions to avoid accountability. They very rarely will admit fault, and if they do, it will benefit them to do so. Justifying their actions is used as a method of preserving their self-image or maintaining power and control over others. Additionally, manipulators may have a deep-seated belief that their actions are justifiable or warranted, even if they harm others. 7. They use guilt and/or shame to get their way. Guilt is the feeling of remorse or responsibility for wrongdoing, while shame is the feeling of dishonor or disgrace. Manipulators may use it to control others because these emotions can be powerful motivators. They may be more likely to comply with the manipulator's demand in order to alleviate those negative feelings. Also, manipulators use guilt and shame to create a sense of dependence in their victims by making them feel that they are the only ones who can help them alleviate those negative feelings. As a result, victims may become more willing to do what the manipulator wants in order to avoid feeling guilty or ashamed. It's important to note that manipulators often use these tactics to gain power or control and can be very convincing. Be aware that the manipulator could be anyone, friends, family, partner, and also you should take care of your own mental and emotional well-being when interacting with these people. Regardless of whether you come across manipulative or lying people, always try to take control of your life and make decisions based on your own thoughts. Whether with good or bad intentions, no one knows your life in depth. Listen to the advice of loved ones, but always be the one who makes the decision. Do you know manipulative people? Have you been lied to and used on some occasion? Do you feel like you sometimes manipulated someone for a reason? Tell us in the comments below what you or someone you know has dealt with at the hands of a manipulator.